Small Town Film Ghost. It's a Small Town Film Ghost.
That
may not be the name for too long. We don't know. Hey everybody, welcome to Small Town Film Ghost. My name's Todd Lizer.
Hey, I'm Jared Ressick.
I'm Julie Furnace.
And we are completely consistent with our inconsistencies.
The one constant.
Yeah.
This should be listed on our IMDb Pro as the Untitled Tin Pan Project.
It really should be. Like, that should absolutely be our name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we're considering promote.
How you guys doing? Did you have a good week?
yeah.
You know, this week was fine. It was fine. You know, not bad. Not bad.
Like, this week is fine as in, like, the animated dog sitting in a burning room? This is fine?
Not to that level, but
Okay.
it's just not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Okay. Like a solid 6.
So, yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah. So today we are talking about Minari. This film is going to be coming out on Tin Pan Theater's website on February 12th. This episode, I think, is going to air maybe 3 days before that movie comes out. I think we want to talk about the three of us haven't gotten a chance to see it. We're pretty excited. We'll probably, if we want to talk about spoilers, we'll probably give a bit of a warning if we get into that. But I do think most of our conversation is going to be just sort of talking about our initial impressions about this movie, what we were thinking going in, whether we're excited about it or not. Let's see, who wants to start first?
I want to hear Julie talk about it.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this morning was the Golden Globe nominations.
Yeah.
And this film was nominated for Best Picture, Foreign Film.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exciting for a lot of reasons because
there is definitely some stuff to dig into about
there
that.
is, yes. And I, of course, love Steven Yeun. Is that how I say it?
Steven Yeun. Yeah.
Steven Yeun. Okay. We love him from Walking Dead, of course.
He also does a great travel special with Conan O'Brien in South Korea that everyone should check out. It's the funniest thing.
Okay.
So good.
Yeah. Okay.
Like on YouTube or?
Yeah. One of Conan O'Brien's travel specials, he goes to South Korea with Steven Yeun.
Oh, wow.
It's great.
Okay. And I'm going to watch that because, so I feel like I've watched a lot of South Korean films in the past couple of years. Of course, right before we closed the Tin Pan Theater, we were screening Parasite. It seemed like we screened Parasite for about 6 months. It felt like it just went on and on and on and on.
It had the biggest audience build of any movie I can remember in the last few years.
It really did, and
Just like every week had more people.
Just a slow build.
Slow drip. And so, you know, of course, watching this film, this was so different from, you know, Parasite, of course.
Right.
The description, I guess, spoiler alert, in IMDb, is a Korean family starts a farm in 1980s Arkansas. This film was directed.
It's the basic premise, yeah.
Yeah, it's directed by Lee Isaac Chung. This film is basically his life. He grew up on a small farm in Arkansas. He went to Yale University for ecology, then went on to get an MFA, and has been an award-winning filmmaker ever since. And when I say award-winning, this guy has almost 100 nominations and 50 wins. So
he's one of these filmmakers who's incredibly talented, and I think he's made 3 full-length features before this movie. His first was in Rwanda?
Rwanda.
Yeah, and so like he's an American filmmaker. He's Korean American, but he obviously has been working internationally. Probably he seems like a guy who is very willing to put himself outside his comfort zone.
Yes.
Making movies.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has a comfort zone. Like,
maybe that.
Well, and you know, Steven Yeun, they are cousins. And let's assume that when he was writing this film, because he's also the writer, that he had, you know, Steven in mind, and you know, not that, you know, Steven's going to have a very full career, I think, for sure. He's incredible.
He left Walking Dead
He
at
did
the perfect time.
He really did. This transition for him from, you know, to whatever he's going to do. Films, more television. I mean, it felt like he was on that show forever, you know, but his exit was so dramatic.
Did you say dramatic or traumatic?
Traumatic.
Yeah, it really was.
Traumatic. And that's about the time when I stopped watching it, I will say.
I'll come back for you.
I know.
That was awful.
I know. It really
Sorry.
is. And I have not watched Okja. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Okja.
Okja? Okay. I have not watched it, but I have been told I need to.
It's
from
really
from
good.
Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite and Snowpiercer.
Yes. And
Burning. I think Burning is still.
So yeah, Burning. I've not seen Burning, but I was thinking about it while watching this movie because that choice of Steven Yeun's decision to star in Burning, which is fully a South Korean produced film.
Right.
Like he obviously has made a pretty conscious decision to be an American actor, like appearing in a South Korean film. I think that stepping stone, especially like after Walking Dead, to do Burning and then to come and do something like Minari, where Minari is technically an American film. It is an immigrant story, and it's about the immigrant experience of a South Korean family into the U.S. But it definitely falls in that in between where Steven Yeun is playing the father of this family, and so in this movie he is playing. He's an American playing a South Korean in a lot of ways, and I think it's interesting that Steven Yeun is establishing this presence that he can both work in South Korea and the U.S. just no problem. He essentially can
he can do both. He is obviously fluent in both languages.
Right.
He there's a lot of stories there. He's worked with a lot of these South Korean actors, filmmakers, writers. He's got a niche there. So my question is, the producers have to obviously do a campaign for a Golden Globe nomination, so this was considered a foreign film because it was completely in Korean. Is that in?
But there's huge chunks of it that are in English.
I know.
So the rules that the Golden Globes puts up, which are different rules, there's different rules for different voting bodies, and the Golden Globe specific rules talk about how I think the movie has to be at least 50% in English.
Okay, yeah.
And because this movie is majority in Korean, that's why it technically falls under Golden Globes rules for best foreign picture.
Okay.
But I think this movie is definitely a sort of a lightning rod for the way that the industry, and especially Hollywood, is becoming more and more international over time. I think American audiences in the last 10 years, and I think there's still a growing greater appreciation for American audiences to see films that are not in English language.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because this movie, again, the fact that it is an American movie and it's about a Korean family immigrating. Well, they've already immigrated in this movie, but about them assimilating into American culture. Similar to The Farewell, where like that movie is from an American perspective.
Yes.
Right.
Like the character that Awkwafina plays, she's an American. And so I think this movie is similar where because this movie's from the children's point of view growing up, it's from their American perspective growing up as second generation.
Sure. And, just like Parasite, and then I'll pass it over to Jared, the subtitles are exhausting at first, and you really have to follow along. This one too, it wasn't like, yes, it was, American in the sense like you could watch what was going on, but Parasite you really had to pay attention.
Right.
This one you did too. I expected more drama. I expected it to be more of a tearjerker. I expected it to be more of a tearjerker from watching the trailer. I was like, oh, I better get the tissues out. This one's gonna really wrench me. I gotta not watch it with the kids, but it was less dramatic than I expected. Anyway, I'm ecstatic for their team. I'm ecstatic for Steven Yeun, for Lee Isaac Chung, and I think that it's already done really well on the festival circuit. So
big time.
This movie won the big drama award at Sundance last year.
Okay.
So I think this movie won both the drama award and the audience award at Sundance 2020. This movie I think. I think we would have heard about this movie. This movie would have been talked about more if the pandemic hadn't happened this year.
For sure.
Like for example, at some point in the future, you may hear our conversation about 4-Year-Old Virgin that we recorded and then
version.
Yeah, version. But yeah, if you're familiar with that movie, it's on Netflix. That movie won the Best Directing Award, I believe, at Sundance
It did,
last year.
yes.
And so it's interesting thinking about these were the two big movies at Sundance last year, and the fact that 40-year-old version got picked up at Netflix and has already been seen, but then A24 picked up this movie.
Yeah.
A24 obviously still committed to the theatrical experience somehow, or at least,
for now.
Yeah,
for sure.
doing what they
Yeah.
can in the
Yeah.
pandemic. At least.
I do want to mention real quickly first to Will Patton, who's also in it and is great.
Oh my God! Yeah, when he
so
showed
good.
up, I couldn't
Yeah,
believe
I
it.
mean, he's in the show Yellowstone, which is very, very popular. But this guy is in everything. And
I still think of him from all those Jerry Bruckheimer produced movies.
I
from the
mean,
90s.
Totally.
he
That's
was,
all I think of.
he's been working since the late 70s.
Yeah.
So this guy's been in everything. Anyway, Jared, what?
Oh. For me, Will Patton is he'll always be Bruce Willis's right-hand man in Armageddon.
Yeah.
That's, Like,
Also, Nick Cage's right-hand man in Gone in 60 Seconds.
oh God, yeah.
I feel like there's another one I was thinking. Was he in The Rock too?
I'm gonna say
Again-
probably.
again, it was
I
in
don't know- I don't
Roadhouse,
know for
too.
sure.
There were like 10 Jerry Bruckheimer. I
Yeah,
associate him with
yeah.
Jerry Bruckheimer movies.
Yeah,
I feel like Jerry Bruckheimer was like, okay, we gotta get Will Patton in this movie.
Yeah. He also he records a lot of books on CD. He does a ton of them, and so like I feel like 1 out of every 10 like audiobooks I listen to is narrated by him. So I liked Minari. I agree with Julie completely that I expected something a little more traumatic. Like because South Korea loves to turn the screws
They sure
in their
do.
movies, but also so does A24. And so the combination of A24 and a South Korean film, I was like, this is gonna wreck me. And don't get me wrong, the last 20 minutes of the movie are not happy, but they're not soul crushing either. It's like a combination of but to me, the thing that I liked the most about Minari was 2021 is the perfect time to be releasing movies about the costs of the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah, I can see that.
and the way that so I've been watching a lot of wrestling lately, and the part of wrestling that I'm at, Bret Hart, the legendary Bret Hart has started constantly being like, you know what I hate? Americans and American audiences in Canada's the best. And so then
This is like late 90s, early 2000s.
late 90s, this is like
Yeah.
97, yeah.
Okay.
So you look in the audience, and half the people are holding signs that say, "Bomb Canada, destroy Canada, love it or leave it." Like it's all very aggressively
nationalistic. And
Yeah,
just like,
yeah. It's so watching that and then watching Minari, I was like, oh yeah, empathy. That's a nice thing to
Well, but
to have.
they embrace this. I mean, this small community where I thought
Yeah.
there was going to be this like big, I don't know, this racial,
again, the fact this movie is set in
themes.
1980s Arkansas.
Yeah.
I was expecting like so much like butting of heads. Like there's a scene where they go to church in this movie that I was expecting to be super awkward. Super
Yeah,
Sure.
like
uncomfortable.
here's where it
And
goes down.
There,
Yeah.
and there definitely is a pretty heavy implication of that, but I was surprised at how like this community seemed to embrace this family like
Yeah.
with pretty open arms.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
yeah.
like I think the fact that Lee Isaac Chung this movie is based off of his experience growing up, like maybe the truth is that like that happens more often than we think. Like
Right. Right.
and two, I think Lee Isaac Chung's this movie is definitely one of those movies where by the end it lets you decide sort of what happens in the end.
Right.
It leaves it pretty open-ended. Not to give really any spoilers. So, but I think this movie does a good job of Lee Isaac Chung telling his own story, but also using the script structure that we're pretty familiar with to still give those emotional beats that are usually expected and still
Right.
leave the story open-ended
For
enough
sure.
that we get to have our
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. Because, and that's a that's a very popular way of storytelling.
Right.
Where we get to decide. Where
Yeah.
eyes shut, eyes open, we don't know what's going to happen. But this one, and
And it fits the narrative of like, if depending on how autobiographical the story is, that he might not have all the information about what happened when he lived through it as a child. So like him kind of having it open-ended like that combines the whole like the mystery of childhood and the knowledge that you have of what the grown-ups are doing.
Yeah.
Right, like
did Grandma really plant those seeds by the water? Did we have to start over with this?
Right.
The movie's about that period just before sort of like the loss of innocence that we sometimes talk about coming of age stories. And the fact that I'm sure that Lee Isaac Chung was probably had to fill in some of the gaps as to what his own father went through when he was writing Steven Yeun character. And so
sure.
The movie is again definitely from the kid's perspective, but I mean the parents do a lot of the heavy lifting of the storytelling.
Right, and let's not forget how many American kids grow up this way too, in military families as well.
Totally.
Kobe Bryant, he grew up in Italy.
Right.
And because his father was a coach for a basketball team in Italy. Mm-hmm, he grew up Italian. Yeah. And he came back to the United States not knowing how to be black. Right. He talks about that a lot. Sure. And that he had to assimilate into a culture that he was not familiar with. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. And, so it happens both ways. Yeah, especially in the 80s. I mean, my cousin grew up in Japan on a base, and he lives in Japan. He would never live in the United States, but that's what he was used to, So
this kind of gets at something that I remember Bong Joon-ho said at the Oscars last year was he said a quote from Martin Scorsese, which was, "The personal is the most universal." Right. And I feel like this is something this movie definitely does that. It tells a very specific personal story, but I think the subject matter and the themes and the emotions that are being covered in this movie are things that pretty much everyone can connect to on some level. Yeah. And it's that reminder that very specific personal stories do often still connect to pretty universal themes that I think we understand at a pretty basic human level.
Sure. And I think it depends on where you grow up too, and how you grow up, and so.
And it's also like one thing I read about this movie recently is it's nice to see a foreign film that isn't being so heavily lauded because of Asian trauma or black trauma or something like that. Like
totally.
Like when I watched 12 Years a Slave the first time when it came out, I was blown away by it. And then I started looking at like the reaction of like people in the black community and people who came at it like, why does every celebrated movie about the black experience have to be about black trauma? Yeah. And so it was also kind of nice to see a movie that celebrated more because it was way less racist than I expected it to be.
Yeah, this movie is about hardship, but it's not about trauma.
Right. And it's about hardship that doesn't feel like misery porn.
Right.
It feels like realistic difficulty. Yeah. And I never thought about that. I always, it's part of my privilege is that I always thought like when you watch a movie that's about how a certain minority group of people, how difficult they have it, that it's bringing knowledge to everybody. But in a lot of actualities, all it is exploiting that trauma for commercial gain.
And then it makes audiences think that that's the only experience that
that's why I like the 40-year-old version so much. Is like there was a lot of black trauma to that movie, and it was also very specific about this woman's life. Like it was very autobiographical in a way that doesn't feel like an exploitation.
She actually felt like a fully realized human being. Rather than a character.
And remember also, you can categorize it even more. That's the East Coast experience.
Right.
Because remember in this family, they lived in California.
Right.
And Asians felt very comfortable in California, Oregon, and Washington.
The West Coast.
all of the the Northwest here. They're very comfortable in those communities. Houston has a huge Asian population. Chicago, LA. I mean, but they're very comfortable. So they were really out of their comfort zone here, and
that really brings it back to how one of the main draws from this story is really about the conflict between the mom and dad in this movie and the decisions of what is the best place to raise their family. And yeah, again, I think it brings back to that idea that, like, even though this movie has a lot of context about the time and place that it's set, it really does come back to how do parents decide together the best way to raise them.
Right. And it sounded like, he was probably like, we're moving to Arkansas. Like, you don't have a choice here, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I had questions about that, like, how did they come to this decision? Why? I mean, it sounded like there were money problems. We didn't really get into. Why weren't the kids in school? I mean, there were a lot of things that I was, but there wasn't, there wasn't
something
time.
Really early on in the movie. The father says something to the mother that was, I want to say it was like after their first day of work at the chicken sexing farm or whatever you call that. Where he was like, he said something along the lines of like, you look so much better when you're smiling.
Happier.
Yeah. When you look so much better when you're happier. And you could see like annoyance flashed across her face, like just for a second.
Well, she's sitting down and he's above her, which is very very Asian.
Yeah, very
in Asian cultures, and a lot of cultures actually, where the subservient, that was very well done. That
visually,
So,
but it definitely that moment very much felt like he was underestimating the depth of her feeling. And,
absolutely. And she told him from the beginning, like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And they let a lot of things go. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that was a huge part of the movie too. Is this man going to choose being a farmer over his family?
It's the crux of the story of the film.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, I think now's the time to give our final thoughts on this movie. I didn't know there was an alarm that was going to go off like that.
I'm not saying that made me shit myself.
Wait, maybe you can edit that.
All right, so I think now is a good time to say our final thoughts on this movie. Jared, what do you think?
I really liked it. I expected to be more emotionally affected by it than I was. I did really like it, but I'm so used to A24 movies like crushing me into a ball and then spitting me up by the end that I was kind of ready to be more walloped by it. But I felt walloped by it in the same way that I was The Farewell, where it was like, oh, that was nice, kind of like there's nothing wrong with it, but it didn't. It's not gonna stick on me like a grime like A24 movies normally do. But it's a perfect movie to watch right now, where it's not you're not required to do much emotional heavy lifting, and you can kind of watch it and get good feelings and bad feelings and get all this stuff in you at once. And, but then let it go pretty quickly. Like, it's not going to wreck people, which is nice.
Julie?
This is a festival film.
Yeah,
totally.
Period. Okay, so this is like when you show up to Sundance and you're all excited and ready. You're going on the festival circuit. And you sit down. You're like, yep. This one right here.
Especially if you were to see this movie in an audience full of people.
Absolutely. Festival.
Standing ovations.
Yeah, standing ovations. I mean, this is one where you go to the Q&A with the director, and this is a festival film. And I love these films because this is what we get at the theater. These are what I love to see. This is probably not something I'm going to go pay to see at a big theater like Regal or something like that, but I would absolutely, stream it, watch it. Here I'm so happy for this. Like I said, the production team here, and I'm just overjoyed.
It did make me feel like I was missing something by watching it on my computer at home at 10 o'clock at night. Because if I watched it with an audience, I'd have a completely different relationship to the film.
I will say this is definitely the kind of movie that every award season I always seek out and sometimes, like depending on the cities I've lived in the past, sometimes I have to hunt down the movie theater where this is playing. And so I'm very used to the idea of like, okay, like I want to go see all these little movies on the biggest screen I can, and this definitely falls into that category. I think The Farewell is a pretty good comparison. I don't know if I'd rank it quite as good, but it is still a very good movie. I also just love seeing actors in multilingual roles. I love seeing movies about experiences that are not my own. And the fact that this is an A24 film that is supporting this crew and this production.
Absolutely.
How would you rank it compared to like the rest of the films released by A24? Like, is it in their top 10? Is it top 20?
Man, that's kind of a tough question.
It's a loaded question.
I mean, it's probably gonna be a top 20. I wouldn't say top 10, but still absolutely worth it. I think it's worth it for Steven Yeun, and I think it's worth it for the story it tells. And I mean, this movie will be in the next coming years to see where the actors from this go, where Lee Isaac Chung himself goes. This movie is a great watch. Again, just to like you said, Jared, to watch it now in this moment, I think is really great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the perfect timing for it. It really is.
It is.
All right, folks, that's our discussion on Minari. If you want to see it yourself, it's going to open on February 12th, Friday, February 12th, at tinpantheater.com. You can watch it there through our website, and if you watch it there, you will support us directly. We really appreciate that. And I think we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Hey, everybody, it's Todd here, your dedicated Steven Yeun fan. If you want more Steven Yeun, you should definitely go watch that Conan O'Brien travel special where he goes to South Korea, because it is a delight. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of Minari. We really liked it, if you couldn't tell. Next up, we talk about some of our favorite festival memories, along with our rapid-fire takes on some of the Golden Globe nominations this year, because they are weird. Most importantly, Minari is opening up this Friday. Again, we highly recommend watching this movie. It's really great. It's going to be a virtual screening, just like everything else that's playing through tinpantheater.com. However, this movie is working a little bit differently. It's actually going to be playing off of A24's website. Because it's playing off of A24's website, there's actually specific screenings where you'll actually have to sign up to watch the movie, and they're actually sold out for the next couple of days, but still, set aside some time to watch this movie. It's really great. If you want to support us directly when you watch the movie, we have a link tree that's going to help you do that. So if you go to linktr.ee/BendFilm, again, that's linktr.ee/BendFilm. When you go there, you're going to see everything that's going on with Tin Pan Theater and with BendFilm right now. And at the very top, you're going to see a link for the Minari virtual screenings. When you click there, that way you will give us a kickback. It'll support us directly, and you can watch the movie. And again, that's the best way to support us. Also, on that link tree, you will see how to rent the Tin Pan. You'll see the link for the Crow's Feet ski raffle that we got going on, the Thursday and Friday night ski nights, the early bird submissions for the festival, the virtual Tin Pan, how to donate. It's all there. That's the best way, again, to know what's going on with the festival. If you want to know what happens with us immediately throughout the day, the best social media to follow us is on Instagram. So if you follow BendFilm Festival on Instagram, you'll know right away, and also at the very top of the Instagram page, you'll see the link to the link tree as well. The other thing to mention is, donate if you can. Also, if you can actually sign up for a membership, or if you would like to sign up for a membership, that's actually gonna, again, give us a lot of help donation-wise, but it will also give you discounts for events and virtual screenings, and it will also, you will get first access to tickets for the film festival itself, which, speaking of which, that's going to happen this October 7th through the 17th. Hopefully the world is better by then, but most likely the festival is going to be a combination of in-person and virtual screenings. But already you can put that date on your calendar and submit a film if you've got something for the BendFilm Festival. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it. Last thing I'll say is that next week we are going to talk about the movie Glitch in the Matrix, which is a documentary that just played at Sundance Film Festival this year. It's a documentary about how we might all be living in a simulation. It is a rabbit hole to go down. That movie is playing right now on the Virtual Tin Pan website. We hope you'll check it out, and then you can tune in next week to hear our discussion about it. So we'll look forward to having you listen to us then, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And we're back. It's me, Todd Leiser.
I mean, we didn't to our listeners. We didn't go anywhere. It's just been a second for them.
I might put something there in the middle.
Okay,
so it's possible.
So what you guys are listening to right now isn't really happening. Like, you probably won't hear it at all.
I mean,
now it's going to go into the episode because we talked about it.
And because you messed up his intro. So
I did it on purpose because I wanted him to understand.
Hey, my name's Todd Leiser again. What's your name?
I have Jared Russick. Thanks for asking. Who are you?
I don't know anymore. I'm Julie.
Who knows?
All right, so we're just doing something really, really fun here. We just wanted to reminisce on some of our favorite festival moments from BendFilm over the last couple of years. And yeah, it's just going to be just memories essentially. I'll just start out. Last time it was in person in 2019 because this last year's festival was virtual in 2020. But in 2019, I was very lucky that I was at the screener for Clementine, which did win. I believe the top award. It won the audience award. It won the cinematography award. And I was there for the Q&A with director Laura Jean Gallagher. She was very, very fun to talk to. When I found out later that she had won the top awards, I was very excited. And I was very lucky to host the Q&A with her and just talk with her about the movies she's made. Talk about the film itself. I remember watching Clementine, and it was a movie that was kind of a thriller. It felt to me like it had a bit of horror influence, but was also about relationships and almost a throwback to those like erotic thrillers from the 80s.
Totally.
I really enjoyed it. But I think the chance to get to talk to Laura Jean Gallagher was a really fun time.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite moments.
That's pretty badass. So I've been to every BendFilm that there ever has been, and I wish I could do a list of my favorite moment from each one, but I would say my number one actual favorite moment was I'm a big fan of the director Oner Tuchel. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I think I've seen the name written, but I have no idea how to pronounce it.
And so I am in love with this movie called S.O.B. Summer of Blood. It's like this, what if like a lazy, crappy human being became a vampire is kind of the setup of the movie. And he made this really great, weird sci-fi comedy thing called Applesauce. But I'm a big fan of his, and I was walking around downtown Bend during the festival, and I'm like, oh, that's Oner Tuchel smoking a cigarette. And I walked up to him, and I was like, hey, man, I'm a big fan of Summer of Blood. I've watched that movie like 50 times. And he was here showing the movie The Misogynists, which
I remember hearing about the movie.
Those screenings did not go very well.
Yeah.
People profoundly hated that movie. And I just leaned back against the wall and smoked a cigarette with Oner Tuchel and talked about movies. And it was really just kind of an amazing moment. How about you, Julie?
Well, I of course always love working with our volunteers for the festival, and I love sitting in the Tin Pan Theater for 10 hours, crying my eyes out and drinking.
Yeah.
Because for seriously the past several years, feels like we have always gotten the dark stuff.
We really do.
The heavy stuff.
The heavy stuff, yeah. And I was warned. So,
right.
Of course, the first time, I walked into this theater to volunteer for the festival, because that's how I started out, I was like, I am going to be working here someday. So, and that dream came true. So, but I will say, watching the film Lifeboat in 2018, with the director, his name is Sky Fitzgerald. You'll see him because he won a lot of awards, and he's on a lot of our promos. And
right.
That film, you could visibly hear all of us bawling our eyes out.
Wow. Okay.
And while that film was playing, this film is about German volunteers who sail the Mediterranean to rescue refugees from sinking rafts. Okay.
Wow.
And when I mean sinking rafts, I mean like there are hundreds of people on these rafts.
Like blow up rafts.
Yeah, and some of them end up dead by the time they make it to, where they're going.
Right.
The crew was physically on some of these rafts, some of these boats, and they had to sometimes put the camera down to help with humanitarian services, like giving people water, giving people food, sometimes holding them while they're passed out. I mean, it was, that was a moment. That was a festival moment that I will never forget. There was a Q&A after with Sky, and it was just, nobody moved. Nobody moved for that 40 minutes. And that was a festival moment. A sad one, a hard one, but a good one, because there are a lot of happy times. You can talk about the parties and all of it,
But that was memorable, obviously.
That was very memorable. So that's my moment right there.
Sometimes that's what you go for festivals.
Yeah, those profoundly moving moments. Yeah.
Makes you feel alive and human.
Yeah.
Sure does.
So the other one I was thinking of, I'm obsessed with the HBO series Oz. And
I forgot about that series.
Yeah, I've watched it through like 5 or 6 times, and I'm really obsessed with it. And one of my favorite characters was played by the writer Blake Robbins, and he was really good on that show. He was a hero on that, like a good guy on that show. And then something bad happens to him, and he becomes a bad guy. And it was just a really great character arc and all that. Anyway, Todd Luby, the head of BendFilm, knew that I was a fan of Blake Robbins from the show Oz.
Oh boy.
And so when Blake Robbins came to BendFilm to screen his movie The Scent of Rain and Lightning, Todd Luby told Blake Robbins, "Hey, one of my screeners is a big fan of yours." Because he also played Jim on The Office. He played Jim's older brother that beat up on him all the time.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, I'm at home. It's my day off of the festival, because I would sit in the back for 12 hours a day, like doing sound for the movies. And it was like Sunday. It was my day off, and I get a phone call, and it's Blake Robbins, who I didn't give him my number, nothing. And he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, is this Jared?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, this is Blake Robbins." I'm like, "Ah!" And he's like, I'm getting ready to leave Bend. Do you wanna like come down and meet me for a cup of coffee and talk about movies?
Wow.
And so I ran down, and we met in Tin Pan Alley, and we got a cup of coffee. And we stood there, and he gave me advice on how to be a filmmaker and how to be a writer and a director. And he literally gave me a 15-minute long film course. Like,
that is incredible.
And it was just the most amazing.
It was
thing.
like a festival, not festival moment.
Yeah, it was.
It
was one of those moments where I was like, this makes me feel very lucky to have been able to.
Absolutely, and that's what festivals do. Like, you've been to Sundance, you know what it feels like. I moved here from Austin, Texas. South by Southwest was my thing, and like a feeling just comes over the air, and it's a whole week long, and it's so much is going on. It is overwhelming, but at the same time, you're just like, I
remember when I went to Sundance, one of the first celebrity run-ins I had was I was walking down the street, and what's his name with the big afro who does the great beatboxing and is on James Corden's show.
You're talking about
from Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what's his name?
That's gonna drive me insane.
That guy.
Reggie Watts.
Reggie Watts.
Yeah.
Reggie Watts was coming down the street towards me, and I'm like walking and we just passed in the street. I don't have the guts to say hi to him or anything, but I realized this is what happens when you come to big film festivals. You get to just see people walking down the street.
Especially Sundance.
Yeah, look at that famous person existing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That happened in Austin all the time. But
I'm sure. Did you go to Fantastic Fest when you were in Austin?
I did.
Oh, I always wanted to go to that.
That's why you need to go. That's the time you need to go.
I believe it.
And just at that time of year.
Did they overlap a little, Fantastic Fest and South by Southwest? Okay.
Well, some years I'm sure, but the South by, because South by uses a lot of Alamo theaters,
right.
So it's no.
And Fantastic Fest is exclusively Alamo theaters, isn't it? Because it's produced by Jeff
partner,
House, right?
Yeah, partner. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, speaking of getting to go to festivals and watch crazy things and be amazing, this morning they announced the nominees for the Golden Globes.
Man,
What are your thoughts, Jared?
what a list.
The
What a
78th
list.
Golden Globe Awards. It's a very strange list this year.
It
There's a
is.
lot of really good things. There's a lot of questionable choices. Here's what I'm going to do because we've been talking for quite some time. I'm going to name the topic,
Yeah.
Category.
and the nominees, and I want your 2-second opinion, both of you. Got it. Okay, best motion picture drama. Choices are The Father, Mank, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, The Trial of the Chicago 7. Todd.
So I always assumed that the award season this year was going to be a competition between Mank and Nomadland. So it makes sense that those two are in there. I'm definitely surprised by a few choices. I think the idea that the Golden Globes are usually a prognosticator of what gets happening at the Academy Awards,
Right.
Still kind of rings true. But this is such a weird year that anything could still happen for the rest of the award season.
Yeah. Do you have a pick? Do you have a pick
Who I
for?
think is gonna-
What's that?
Usually, I think that Mank is oftentimes like the one to bet on, but I feel like Nomadland might be the one to take it years.
Okay, Julie.
Yep, Nomadland, that's going to take it. That's going to be the darling this year.
Yep, I agree. Nomadland all the way. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture. We've got Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman.
It's Frances McDormand.
Okay.
It's going to be a tight race between Frances and Carey.
I agree. Frances and Carey are the front runners for show. Viola Davis is amazing in Ma Rainey, but
She can do no wrong.
will
Come
be
on.
incredibly overshadowed by Chadwick Boseman. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture. We've got Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins, The Father, Gary Oldman, Mank, and Tahir Rahim for The Mauritanian.
I don't know what's going to win, but I'm just so glad that Riz Ahmed got nominated because I love him.
Yeah, he's really good.
I
Julie?
love these nominees, but they are going to honor Chadwick Boseman. That's
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And he was on, if you watch Ma Rainey and you watch Black Panther, you're like,
he's
you're a
incredible.
chameleon.
He's incredible.
Best motion picture, musical or comedy. We've got Borat, subsequent movie film, Hamilton, music, Palm Springs, and The Prom.
When I read that this morning, I thought, "Get out of here! You're drunk." I don't care about this category. I don't care.
Yep. Okay. Julie?
That's exactly what I thought you would say. Does
Yeah.
the Golden Globes love Disney or what?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah, right.
I don't even know what to say here, but I think Hamilton will get it. I just
Hamilton, that makes sense. I, for some reason, am leaning towards Palm Springs on this one. I don't know why. It's a fun movie. It doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but it does the things it tries to do as well as you could do for being that completely big of a ripoff of Groundhog Day. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. We've got Maria Bakalova for Borat. We've got Kate Hudson for music, Michelle Pfeiffer for French Exit, Rosamund Pike for I Care a Lot, and Anya Taylor-Joy for Emma.
I don't know. Maybe Anya Taylor-Joy or maybe Bakalova for Borat. I don't know.
Yep. Julie.
yeah, I don't know. This one, Maria, she honestly,
I heard she steals the movie.
she really does.
Okay.
She really does. And let's just go with her.
I'm gonna say ATJ just because she is becoming. What's the word? She seems like an alien. She's so ethereal. That's the word. She's ethereal and luminous. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. We've got Sacha Baron Cohen for Borat. We've got James Corden for The Prom. Lin-Manuel Miranda for Hamilton. Deb Patel for The Personal History of David Copperfield. And Andy Samberg for Palm Springs.
I'm so happy to see Andy Samberg on this list. Finally,
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
because he has come so far. He's so amazing. The foreign press loves Sacha Baron Cohen, but I'm gonna have to go with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, that's probably the one.
Yep. I also am going to say Lin-Manuel simultaneously. I don't know why, but I kind of want to fight James Corden. Best motion picture animated. We've got The Croods, A New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. This is going to be the tightest run.
Oh,
It's going to be Soul, but I want Wolfwalkers too.
Yeah.
You liked that one? That was
I honestly, I still haven't seen Wolfwalkers, but I like that.
Oh.
I like
Just Cartoon Saloon needs to win.
yeah,
There was
exactly.
something else,
yeah.
Wolfie, that, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Again, like, my God, I'm going to go with Onward just because I want Soul to win, but I think they're going to go with Onward.
Okay. I'm thinking Soul, but Cartoon Saloon, man, they've tricked me before.
Yeah, they like Leica are like really great, but don't get the recognition that they
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best Motion Picture, Foreign Language. We've got another round from Denmark. We've got La Llorona from Guatemala / France. The Life Ahead from Italy. Minari, which is considered USA. And Two of Us, which is a French-USA co-production. Todd.
I'll go with Minari.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pass because I haven't seen any of these except Minari, so I haven't. I can tell you I can go on about how the foreign press, how they usually lean, but I'm going to pass on this one.
Okay.
All right. I think that's our major categories.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go with another round, personally.
I really want to see that movie. See that movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Those are our thoughts on Golden Globes real fast. We just wanted to get that in.
I also want to say I hope Glenn Close does not win for Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah, because that movie's bad.
That movie can go to hell.
Bad.
Yeah.
Wrong
And
decisions, bad decisions.
What about Jared Leto? And
the
Little
horrific
Things?
Jared Leto has been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's not going to win. Daniel Kaluuya is going to win.
Okay.
But Jared Leto can go to hell.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed our discussion of Minari, as well as our brief thoughts on some festival moments and the Golden Globes. Who knows what this award season is going to be about? If you like this podcast and you like what we do, we encourage you to donate. You can go to benfilmmembership.eventive.org/donate and give whatever amount you can. Let's see, we're doing our ski nights on Thursday nights. If you want to watch any of the movies that we're talking about, they will be available on our website. There's a virtual tin pan link at the top of the page that you can click on to find what is fully available. Sometimes if you scroll down the page, it's not going to list everything. So click on that virtual tin pan link. That'll bring you to it.
That was efficient.
Good
work. You went super efficient.
Also, like, subscribe, and comment.
Yeah, nice, perfect.
Too.
Wait, no, what is it? You gotta is it smash
Oh,
that like button?
Smash it!
Smash that
it,
like
baby!
button. Yeah.
Crush it! Okay, my name's Todd Leiser.
I'm Jared Razak.
And I'm Julie Furness.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
We love you.
Thank you.